Inbreeding and line breeding are breeding techniques used by pigeon fanciers to develop racing pigeons with desirable traits. Inbreeding involves mating closely related pigeons, such as siblings or parent and offspring, while line breeding mates more distantly related pigeons that share common ancestors. Both techniques aim to concentrate the genes of a particular individual and intensify desirable qualities. When done properly, inbreeding and line breeding can improve traits like speed, endurance, homing ability, and flying style in racing pigeons. However, care must be taken to avoid negative effects of inbreeding depression. Inbreeding and racing pigeons. Inbreeding is mating of closely related pigeons such as brothers with sisters, fathers with daughters, or mothers with sons. It aims to concentrate the genes of a particular individual, intensifying both good and bad traits. Inbreeding increases homozygosity, or the chances of an individual having two copies of the same gene. For some simple recessive traits like color or feather type, this quickly makes the trait homozygous so it is expressed in the offspring. Complex quantitative traits like racing ability are influenced by many genes, so inbreeding manifests them by increasing the frequency of whatever genes the original ancestor possessed for that trait. If the ancestor pigeon was an excellent racer, inbreeding can concentrate racing genes and improve this ability in the offspring. The downside is it also concentrates faulty recessive genes which can cause health problems. Moderate inbreeding is tolerated by pigeon breeders because racing ability has such complex genetic underpinnings that trying to achieve it through outcrossing would require huge populations and extensive testing. Ultimately, the fastest racers tend to be moderately inbred. However, it is a balancing act, as excessive inbreeding leads to inbreeding depression. Potential issues with inbreeding. While inbreeding can amplify desirable racing traits, it also comes with risks due to genetic problems. Inbreeding accumulates deleterious recessive mutations which are normally masked in outbreeding but can be expressed in inbred lines. Effects range from reduced fertility, decreased survivorship, impaired immunity, increased developmental issues, and reduced racing performance. These harmful effects from increasing homozygosity are called inbreeding depression. To minimize inbreeding depression, many pigeon breeders limit inbreeding to cousins or second cousins. Brother-sister and parent-offspring matings are considered close inbreeding and are generally avoided. Milder line breeding is often preferred over tight inbreeding. Breeders also cull ruthlessly to remove individuals that exhibit health defects or poor racing ability associated with high homozygosity. However, inbreeding depression tends to be progressive as mutations accumulate over generations. So periodically outcrossing to unrelated lines is needed to halt its effects. Outcrossing and line breeding. Outcrossing brings in new blood by mating unrelated pigeons. This masks recessive mutations and restores heterozygosity, alleviating inbreeding depression. However, it can also dilute the racing genes concentrated by prior inbreeding. So outcrossing is often followed by line breeding. This mates the outcrossed pigeons back to more distantly related individuals in the original line, to backcross racing genes while limiting further inbreeding depression. Line breeding concentrates the genes of a particular ancestor but is less intense than inbreeding. Breeders try to balance selection for racing traits with outcrossing to minimize genetic issues. Closer line breeding starts to act like inbreeding, accentuating recessive traits. The optimal level keeps coefficient of inbreeding low but still harnesses line breeding benefits. Line breeding is slower but ultimately superior to tight inbreeding for improving racing ability while controlling inbreeding depression. It takes many generations of selective breeding to develop an elite racing line. Breeders keep detailed pedigrees and breed large populations to have many birds for evaluation. The most successful racing pigeons tend to be those moderately line bred from high-performing families. Conclusions. In conclusion, inbreeding and line breeding can amplify genes for racing success but must be balanced with outcrossing to limit harmful inbreeding depression. While tight inbreeding gives faster results initially, moderate line breeding over many generations is a better strategy for long-term development of racing pigeons. Careful breeding decisions, pedigree tracking, rigorous culling, and knowledge of each bird's racing pedigree and performance are needed to reap benefits from line breeding while avoiding pitfalls of excessive inbreeding. Done right, these techniques can gradually develop lines of pigeons with exceptional speed, endurance and homing ability to excel in the competitive sport of pigeon racing. There are many reasons to buy my racing pigeon method. Here are some of the best reasons. You will get excellent results. It's a very simple system to use. It's affordable. I have had over 400 first prize winners. It's adaptable to any situation. You can use it with any racing method, natural, widowhood, young birds. It's a very effective method. There is no need to spend a lot of money on fancy pigeon products. It's a reliable system and it is foolproof to use. Professional athletes, race horses, take the same products. There is science behind this, not just hearsay. It is all to do with red blood cells and oxygen in the blood. Without that, a pigeon will not race well, or an athlete will not win a race. If he has low oxygen in his blood, the above is fact and is 100% science. There are a few things you can do to improve your chances of winning at racing pigeons. One of the most important things is to learn as much as you can about the sport. You'll need to know the different types of pigeons, how to train them, and how to race them. Another key factor is practice. You'll need to be able to fly your pigeons competently in order to win races. And, of course, you'll need to have the funds to invest in racing pigeons and other racing equipment.